Hello, this is Roper with roperwoodturning.com, and today we're going to show you guys how to find center on a spindle blank, how to mount it onto the lathe, and the proper stance and techniques for spindle turning. So here I've got a 2x2 block of maple, and to find center, what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a line from corner to corner on each side, and that's going to give me center on my blank. Now we have center. Now to help me mount this on the lathe, I'm going to use a center punch finder to put a little dimple in the end of the block so that I can mount it on the machine. For spindle turning, I like to use a steb center, or what's called a safety drive. It's a multi-tooth drive spur that has a retractable pin for putting the wood onto the lathe. Now, these are very nice, not just for beginners, but for all wood turners. They're very safe to use. If you want to put our multi-tooth drive into the headstock, using our center points, we want to mount the blank between centers. This is the safest wood turning that you can do. You want to lock down the tailstock. We want to spin it, make sure that it's on center. Then we want to advance the tailstock until we get enough pressure to hold it between centers. Now don't put too much pressure here. The more pressure that you put between centers, as this blank gets smaller, it could bow out on you. So we want to put enough pressure to hold it up against the teeth, but not so much pressure that we're going to bow the block as it starts to get smaller. Always remember to snug down your hand wheel and then tighten the quill down so that the blank can't move once we start spinning it. We want to make sure that we get our tool rest at the proper height. So we always want to have our tool rest below center so that our tool is cutting on center. So we want to check it real quickly. So we have these reference lines on the end of our block. They can also show us where our tool height should be. If our tool rest is at the proper height, and I'm holding my gouge at 40 degrees, which is the proper angle to be holding the gouge at, since our bevel is at 40 degrees, we hold our tool at 40 degrees. When our tool is at center, that is going to give us the best cut out of this tool. When we're using a roughing gouge, we want to make sure that our right hand is at the end of the gouge. We want to have our left hand up here at the tip so that we can control the tool. You're also going to see we have the roughing gouge tucked into our body, and we're going to use our whole body as we make this cut. It's much easier to control the gouge with my whole body than it is for me to control the gouge just with my hands. We're going to start this one at about 750 or 800 RPMs to break it from square to round. We want to slowly advance the tool down our work. As we break the corners on our piece, we can get our tool rest closer, and we can also take our speed up because now we don't have those big wings spinning around. So now we can take it up to about 1,000 RPMs. Now that we've got the block mostly round, we can get our tool rest right up against it. We also are going to want to raise our tool rest up a little bit. We've changed the shape of this block. We've also changed where center is. Now that the block has gotten smaller, we need to bring the tool rest up to compensate for that. We want to check that we're cutting on center. And now we're going to take it up to about 1,500 RPM so that we get a nice clean finish cut on this block. Always remember to turn off the machine before adjusting the tool rest or checking out your piece. You want to be safe while doing this. Wood turning is dangerous enough as it is. And now we have a nice round cylinder.